In February 2016, a group of hackers sitting at computers somewhere in the world tried to steal $1 billion. Not from a casino, not from a tech company, from a country. They targeted the Central Bank of Bangladesh, the place that holds the financial reserves of an entire nation, and for about 48 hours they were winning. They moved fast. They stayed invisible. They routed the money through 5 countries across 3 continents before anyone even noticed something was wrong. They almost got away with all of it. A typo saved the world's financial system. I'm not joking. To understand what happened, you need to understand one thing. There's a system that connects almost every major bank on the planet. It's called SWIFT. Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunication. It's basically the email system for banks. When one bank needs to send money to another bank in a different country, they send a SWIFT message. Transfer this amount to this account, authorized by this institution. And the receiving bank does it, no questions asked. Because the message came through SWIFT. Because SWIFT is trusted. Because SWIFT is supposed to be secure. Bangladesh Bank had a SWIFT terminal connected to the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, where Bangladesh kept roughly $1 billion in foreign reserves. The hackers knew this. They had been watching for over a year. It started with an email. Sometime in 2015, someone at Bangladesh Bank received a job application, a PDF, a resume, totally normal. They opened it. That was it. The PDF contained malware. The moment it opened, a tiny program installed itself silently on the bank's network. The hackers didn't rush. They spent months just watching, learning how the bank operated, studying the SWIFT messaging system, mapping out which employees had access to what, figuring out when the bank was quietest. They were patient in a way that is genuinely terrifying. Because patience is the thing that separates amateur hackers from the ones who never get caught. By early 2016, they knew everything they needed. They picked their moment carefully. Thursday, February 4th, 2016. In Bangladesh, it was the start of the weekend. Thursday night, Friday, Saturday, the bank would be closed. In New York, it was a Thursday, normal business day. The Federal Reserve would process transactions. The hackers sent the SWIFT messages from inside Bangladesh Bank's own system, using real credentials, real terminals, real formatting. 35 transfer requests, total value nearly $1 billion. The money was to be sent to accounts in the Philippines and Sri Lanka countries with weaker financial oversight, easier to move money through undetected. The Federal Reserve received the messages. Everything looked legitimate. They processed them. In the span of a few hours, close to $1 billion began moving across the global financial system. And Bangladesh Bank had no idea. Here's where it gets almost unbelievable. One of the transfer requests was headed to a bank in Sri Lanka. The hackers had set up a shell company to receive the funds. The company name they used? Foundation. Not foundation, Foundation. A routing bank in Germany, Deutsche Bank, was processing the transfer as a middleman. A compliance officer noticed the spelling. It was flagged. Deutsche Bank contacted Bangladesh Bank to verify. For the first time, someone at Bangladesh Bank looked closely at what was happening in their own system. They saw the SWIFT messages they hadn't sent, 35 of them. Panic. They tried to contact the Federal Reserve immediately, but it was now the weekend in New York. The Fed's offices were closed. They sent faxes. Actual faxes. The fax machine at the Fed was low on paper. The messages didn't go through. By the time the full picture became clear, most of the money was gone. 5 transactions had already been completed successfully. $81 million had reached accounts in the Philippines. From there, it moved fast, into casinos, converted to chips, then cash, laundered through the Philippine gambling system, which at the time had no requirement to report suspicious transactions. The money dissolved into the economy. Most of it has never been recovered. The other transfers, the remaining hundreds of millions, were frozen or reversed in time, but only because of a typo. Investigators spent years tracing the attack. The malware was sophisticated, professionally engineered, specifically designed to erase its own traces from SWIFT terminals after sending. The code had similarities to other attacks: the 2014 Sony Pictures hack, a 2016 attack on a Polish financial regulator, multiple attacks on banks across Southeast Asia. The same fingerprints, over and over. The US Department of Justice eventually pointed the finger at a hacking group called Lazarus, a group believed to be operating on behalf of North Korea. Think about that. A nation-state with government resources, government patience, a government that decided the solution to international sanctions cutting off its economy was to hack other countries' banks. And it almost worked. Bangladesh Bank's governor resigned. The Philippine bank that received the funds was fined. Its branch manager was convicted. SWIFT issued an emergency security update to every bank on the planet and admitted that several institutions hadn't implemented basic security protocols. And North Korea officially denied everything. They always do. What makes this story different from every other cyber heist isn't just the scale, it's the method. They didn't break SWIFT. They didn't crack unbreakable encryption. They walked in through the front door, using a fake resume and a year of patience. The billion-dollar hack started with someone clicking open a PDF that looked totally normal. There's a reason this story isn't talked about more. Banks don't like admitting they were robbed. Governments don't like admitting they were outplayed. And the people responsible are protected by a government that will never hand them over. But here's what this really tells you. The most dangerous hackers in the world don't look like what the movies show you. They're not kids in hoodies typing furiously in a dark room. They're patient, they're methodical, they're invisible, and they don't need to break your security. They just need you to open one email. If you want to understand how hackers actually think, and more importantly, how they get you, that's what this channel is about. Subscribe, because the next one is worse.